I want you to think about the last thing you told your best friend that you would never want your partner to hear. Maybe it was a frustration. Maybe it was a doubt. Maybe it was something you said in a bad moment that you did not really mean. Now imagine finding out that every single one of those things had been relayed back to your partner. Word for word. For over a year. My name is Claire. I am 28 years old. And this is the story of how I lost two of the most important people in my life on the same afternoon. Jen and I had been best friends since we were 14. 14 years of friendship. The kind where you do not have to explain the backstory. The kind where silence is comfortable. The kind where you say things you would never say out loud to anyone else. That last part is important. I met my partner Daniel 3 years ago. Things were good for a long time. Really good. But like any relationship, there were stretches that were hard. Adjustments. Arguments. Periods where we were not quite in sync. Normal stuff. Or at least, I thought it was normal. During those harder stretches, I did what I had always done. I called Jen. I vented. I said the things you say to your best friend when you are frustrated. Things like, he does not listen sometimes. Or, I feel like I am always the one making the effort. Or once, during a particularly bad week, I said I was not sure we wanted the same things anymore. I meant it in the moment. I did not mean it as a verdict. But I said it. The first sign something was wrong came about 8 months ago. Daniel and I got into an argument about something small. I do not even remember what it started as. But at one point he said something that stopped me completely. He said, "You told Jen you were not sure we wanted the same things. How am I supposed to feel about that?" I felt the air leave the room. I had said that to Jen. Privately. Months earlier. In a conversation I considered completely confidential. I asked Daniel how he knew that. He got quiet. He said Jen had mentioned it. Casually. He said it came up in a group conversation. He said he did not think it was a big deal. I called Jen immediately after. She apologized. She said it just slipped out. She said she did not mean anything by it. I believed her. I should not have believed her. Over the next 2 months I started paying attention. And I noticed a pattern. Things I had said to Jen in private kept surfacing in conversations with Daniel. Not exact quotes always. But the shape of them. The feeling of them. Things only Jen could have known. I started testing it. I know that sounds calculated. But I needed to know. I told Jen something I had not told Daniel. Something small but specific. A worry I had about his relationship with his family. Something I would never have brought up with him directly. 3 days later, Daniel brought it up with me unprompted. He said, "Are you worried about how I handle things with my parents?" He said he just wanted to make sure we were okay. He said Jen had mentioned I seemed concerned. That was the moment I knew. This was not accidental. This was not things slipping out. This was a pattern. Deliberate. Ongoing. A full year of it at minimum. I want to stop here for a second. Because when I talked to people about this afterward, the reactions were completely split. Some people said Jen was looking out for the relationship. That she was trying to help Daniel understand me better. That her intentions were good even if her methods were not. Others said what she did was a fundamental betrayal. That a best friend is a vault. Full stop. I want to know what you think. Leave your verdict in the comments below. I read every single one. I confronted Jen on a Tuesday afternoon. I told her what I had noticed. I told her about the test. I laid out the timeline. She did not deny it. That surprised me more than anything. She said she had been worried about me. She said she could see that I was struggling in the relationship and she thought Daniel deserved to know what was going on in my head. She said she did it because she loved us both. I sat with that for a moment. Because part of me understood the impulse. She was not malicious. I genuinely believe that. But here is what I said to her. I said, it was not your information to share. Every single thing I told you was given in confidence. Not as a report to be filed. Not as a brief for Daniel. As something I trusted you with. She said she thought she was helping. I said, you took away my ability to navigate my own relationship on my own terms. Every conversation Daniel and I had about our hard moments was shaped by things he already knew. Things he should have heard from me, if he was going to hear them at all. You did not help us. You made every difficult conversation between us into a conversation I was already behind on. She started to cry. She said she was sorry. She said she had not thought about it that way. I believe she meant it. But I also knew that something had broken. Not dramatically. Not with anger. Just quietly and completely. There is a particular kind of grief that comes with losing a friendship. It is different from other losses. Because the person is still there. Still existing in the world. Still the same person who knew all your inside jokes and sat with you through every hard thing. But the safety is gone. And once the safety is gone, you cannot get it back. I also had to have a conversation with Daniel. That one was harder in some ways. I was not angry at him. He had not asked Jen to do this. But I needed to understand how he had processed a year of information he was never supposed to have. He was honest with me. He said at first he thought it was normal. That maybe Jen was just being a supportive friend. But over time he said it started to feel strange. He said he had not known how to bring it up. I appreciated the honesty. But I also told him what I told Jen. That every conversation we had been having for a year had been quietly shaped by a version of me he was only seeing through someone else's lens. Not my words. Someone else's interpretation of my words. That is a different thing. We spent a long time talking that week. About what had actually been said. About what I had meant. About what he had assumed based on what he heard. Some of those conversations were painful. Some of them cleared up things that had been sitting between us for longer than I realized. It has been 5 months since that Tuesday with Jen. We have not spoken since. Not out of drama. Not out of anger. Just because I think we both understood that the version of our friendship that existed before could not simply resume from where it had paused. Daniel and I are still together. We are doing better, honestly. Talking more directly. There is something clarifying about a crisis when it forces you to say the things out loud you had only been saying to other people. But I do miss her. I want to be honest about that. I miss 14 years of someone knowing exactly who I am. I miss the version of that friendship before I understood what had been happening inside it. What I learned from all of this is something I carry with me now. The people you vent to are not neutral parties. They have their own feelings about your relationship. Their own opinions about your partner. Their own ideas about what is best for you. That does not make them wrong. But it means that what you say to them is never quite as private as you think it is. Be careful who you make your vault. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for new stories every week. See you in the